Hi guys, it's currently Sunday afternoon. I'm filming my question and answer video for you. I really wanted this to be like a professional video. I've bought a really good camera, but I cannot figure out how to use it. Like, I'm missing a trick. So, as per usual, I'm filming it on my iPhone, but the quality is not bad, and you know, what can you do? What can you do? So right, let's get to it. I put up last week, obviously, my show day video. Thank you so much for those that watched it. And I asked you all for questions, so questions that I could answer in this week's video, which I'm going to do for you now. How I'm going to do it, I've got my Mac set up here, so I'm just going to show you the question, answer it, try and keep it relatively short and sweet because I want to upload it tonight and it'll take forever to upload if it's a really long video. Right, let's get on with it then. So question 1. So Quitting Quince has asked, first of all, whether the tan is compulsory. Yes, the tan is definitely compulsory. And to be honest, I really wasn't happy with my tan this year. I usually use a tan called Dream Tan, which we used on James. And I find it goes on a bit too like cakey on me and I look quite green. But at the same time, it makes you look a lot more muscular because of how shiny it is. I got my tan done on the day, and to be honest, it was dark enough backstage, but on stage, it just wasn't right, and there was no shine to it whatsoever. So I felt I looked quite matte, and that made me look quite flat as well. So yeah, the tan just creates more shadows, more definition. The stage lights are so bright that if you didn't have it, it would completely wash you out. And you wouldn't be able to see any detail, which I feel like that happened with me, but what can you do? The second question is an interesting one. Again, Quitting Quince would like to know if we know beforehand what we're getting marked on. Sorry if that's not focusing. Yes, we do is the answer to that. So the reason you go through your compulsory poses is so they can compare you like next to each other. They're looking for muscle definition, they're looking for balance, they're looking for symmetry, they're looking for evidence of training basically. My category is a weird one because when I first started it was very much they wanted some body fat, they didn't want you to be like ripped, and it's getting more and more towards what I kind of see as the American style. So you know, big shoulders and big glutes, and so that's what I need to work on. I really need to work on is just getting my shape a little bit more muscular. It is happening, but it's happening slowly. As you all know, I'm a completely natural athlete, and I'm a girl. I don't have like raging testosterone, so it means that whatever muscle I gain is going to be a slow process. Quitting Quince's last question. I'd love to know how you proceed with your life after the competition. Do you ease yourself back into normal eating habits, and do you work out differently now until next year? So in terms of what I do after the diet, I completely go back to normal life, and I know that I probably shouldn't, and I should probably like ease myself in, but at the end of the day, like, I'm a personal trainer, I love eating well and I love having a healthy lifestyle, but I'm a completely normal girl. Like, I love going out with my friends, I love getting drunk and going to bars and eating pizza and, you know, just all the kind of nice things in life. So I'm not one of these that eats clean all the time and like frowns upon people that don't. So for me, like after the 12 weeks, I'm just like, give me a break. I want a week off. I want to do whatever I want. And then to be fair, after that week, like it's Sunday now and I've just been for a burger with my friends at GBK, and I'm ready for like, not a detox, that's the wrong word. I'm ready just to get back into my usual habits. Like, it's all good and well, like eating whatever you want, but my body just gets to a point where I'm like, damn it, like I need a salad. So I've had my week now, I've had like my blowout, so then tomorrow it'll just be back to normal really. Like, we love eating salmon and sweet potato and broccoli and making our lunches, and we don't resent the diet food at all, you just need a break from it. So yeah, we'll just go back to moderation. Emma Cooper has asked, 1, do you count your macros, and 2, how much cardio do you do when in a cut? So yeah, I do count my macros, but not obsessively because I would hate to just do it like that. So what we do, we calculate our macros right at the beginning. we know exactly what we need portion wise and weight wise, and then I don't measure everything by the gram. I do it sometimes in cups, it's like my porridge oats and things like that. But I don't weigh out my chicken. I know I've done it that long now that I know what it should look like. As well, like, you burn different amounts of calories every single day. So I've got an active job. I've got a really active job. I've got to demonstrate. I'm up and down the stairs. I cycle to work and back. I'm on my feet all day. So, you know, if I have 4 grams more chicken or brown rice than I'm meant to have, I think it'd kill me to have to measure everything, basically. I know I probably should, and you'll get people being like, oh, well, you should do. But at the end of the day, it's a hobby. Like, it's a complete hobby. I don't earn money from it. I don't do it for any financial gain. It's a hobby, and as long as I enjoy it, then I don't mind not being as strict. But that being said, we do calculate macros, and we do tweak it as the time goes on. And I eat the exact same thing, give or take, every single day, so I know exactly what's going in and what I can change. So yeah, is the answer, Emma? I kind of do. Your other question was, how much cardio do you do? Cardio is something that I've only really introduced this year. I have noticed a difference in saying that I lost the same amount of weight in the same time scale as I did last year without doing cardio. So I did 30 minutes on the stepper or on a bike 3 times a week throughout the 12 weeks, but then right towards the end I upped it, and in some cases I was doing an hour like twice a week, then half an hour. So yeah, I just upped it slightly, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Like, I thought I'd hate it, but it wasn't too bad. I quite enjoyed it. So that's that. Louise Novelli has asked, how do I keep myself motivated through the whole 12 weeks? And then she's left a lovely comment. That's a really hard question to answer. People always say to me, like, oh, I couldn't do what you do, I don't have the motivation or the willpower. And then I think, like, neither do I. If I had to diet for a holiday and said, right, I'm going to do a 2-week cut, I'd probably last less than a day. I'm rubbish. The second it's a show and I've got that kind of time scale, something just clicks in my head, and it's like, if I'm in a shop or if I'm out with friends and there's food there that I'm not allowed, I just don't see it as an option. Yeah, something just clicks in my brain, and that like drives me to the 12 weeks. But it's not for everyone, it's really not, and it is hard because it's not a happy process. Looking back now, it's like, it is enjoyable in a weird way because you're testing yourself and you're seeing, like, you know, if you can do it, but it's not good for your social life. It's not good for your mood swings. It's not easy, not by any means. It annoys me when people say, like, oh yeah, like, I could probably do that, and I think, oh, try it before you're so flippant with kind of like dumbing down how hard it is, because you can't just have a break from it. It's 3 months at the end of the day. It's a long time. So yeah, the answer to that, I don't really know. I don't really know how to stay motivated. James helps. And I love the process at the end of it, and I love competing, so I guess that's why. Yasmin Mags has also asked what my plans are for off-season. So I've touched upon this earlier, but my plans for off-season now, I'm going to have a whole year. That sounds like a long time, but it's really not. Because I say a year, but it'll probably be a year before I'm on stage again, so then like nine months before another prep starts. But I don't know, we've not thought that far ahead into like what show we're going to do. But ever since I started like 3 years ago, I've been training, dieting, competing, 3 or 4 months off, training, dieting, competing. And I have made progress. Like, you can see in my like progress pictures from day one that I am a lot more muscular. I've definitely made improvements, but not at a rate that I'm happy with. And if I'm going to compete with the girls that are competing now, I really need to put my all into it, and off season's exactly what I need. So just more calories, more training, heavy basic training. I'm not one of these that does all kinds of like crazy stuff. I'm very straight to the point, heavy, basic, your big compound lifts. I want to get stronger as well, get my strength back. I'd like to sprint again. I found my spikes the other day and got really nostalgic. I was like, oh, I want to compete at sprinting. So I think I might head down to Norwich track and see if I'm still fast. That'd be nice. But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to enjoy it. Well, we're not going on holiday, but I want to go camping. We've got 2 weddings to go to. And just, yeah, enjoy the summer, enjoy barbecues. My friend from camp, Michelle, has asked where's the best place to look up fitness competitions. Probably the best thing to do is just Google it. So Google like bodybuilding competitions in like your area, or to be honest, if you get a coach, which I would highly recommend getting a coach. I coach myself, but only because I've had a coach for my first 2 years and I still use his principles, and I like to see if I can coach myself. It is harder because you can't see yourself how others do. But yeah, I coach myself. But if you get a coach, if you kind of like look around, ask in gyms, do you know anyone that coaches like for female bodybuilding competitions, then they'll be able to tell you more about what different federations, and they'll be able to look at you and say whether you look like figure or whether you look like physique or whether you look like bikini, and where they think you'll suit better. So yeah, I definitely get a coach. Another interesting question from McKenna. Why do you do this to your body if it is unhealthy and non-sustainable? But glad we got you through it. It's not that it's unhealthy. Obviously you've seen like throughout my prep, I was very adamant that like I eat a lot of food. So I never create a deficit by going low calorie. Like that would be unhealthy. I'm always eating. Like I'm always eating. I create a deficit by just keeping a strict control of how much. And the deficit then comes from the workouts and cardio. So I never drop below 1800 calories, and I have a good balance of fats, carbs and proteins. I don't feel ill like on prep in terms of like it doesn't make me unhealthy towards the end. You can get it wrong. You can easily get it wrong. My first ever prep, I didn't have the fats in my diet. I was quite ignorant towards it and I didn't want them. Like I didn't want like to drizzle like oils and things on my salads, and I started losing my hair and things like for girls, your periods can stop, and you know it can get dangerous. But the way I do it is healthy, and I'm adamant about that. It's not sustainable. I wouldn't want it to be sustainable. Especially women, we're meant to store body fat. We're meant to have body fat around our vital organs. We store more compared to men. So yeah, it's not sustainable. But as long as you go into it with an attitude that that's okay, then you'll be fine. If you go into it thinking, right, I'm really happy with how I look now, I can see my abs, like I'm really lean, I want to keep it this way, then you are going to struggle. Like it's so hard, because unless you want to have like calorie restrictions and that strictness in your life, like to keep it that way, then you're really going to struggle. So don't set unrealistic standards. Is probably the main message. So that's a really good question. Thank you, McKenna, for asking that. Katie Nelson, don't you end up feeling really sick with such swings in nutrition? I'm sure it's impossible to hold back after being so restricted, but all that heavy food and sweets makes you think you might end up feeling miserable. No. No, like it's worth it. Again, because we don't really cut calories and I'm not on like a little amount of food, it's not like my stomach shrunk or anything. You don't feel great after it. I'm not gonna like sit here and say you feel amazing after you've had a huge pizza and a massive cookie, but I don't know, it's not really something that bothers me. You just feel bloated, you just feel full. Other than that, to be honest, like it's so easy to just fall back into eating normally, and yeah, I don't know, I don't really notice it. I definitely don't feel miserable though, Katie, so don't worry about that. But yeah, really good question, because obviously it must be weird for you guys to see me being like so clean and so restricted, and then if you follow me on Instagram, I've pretty much been out every night this weekend and had pizza, and so yeah, it is a complete swing. But like I said earlier, that doesn't last for much longer than a week, and then you're back to normal. But it's part of like the enjoyment of it, and like I love food. I'm never gonna sit here and say that like, oh, I can do without it. Like I do, I love food, so it's like your reward at the end of it. So yeah. Elaine Norris has asked the same question I've just answered, but she's also asked, do you aim for one big goal or set yourself smaller goals? In terms of like the prep itself, it's definitely in my head like one big goal, but then you do kind of split it into subsections. So I aim for £1 a week, and I'll set out the week like, right, I'm going to do my cardio 3 times this week, 30 minutes time. I want to, you know, lose £1 a week. I want to practice my routine. I want to do this. I want to train legs. I want to train shoulders. So yeah, you have like micro goals within your main goal. In terms of off season, I will be setting smaller goals, but I've yet to like sit and plan that out yet. Zoe Sleeman has asked a good question. What would be the one thing you advise anyone starting out? So Zoe, that's a really good question, one that I probably wouldn't have thought of to answer myself, so thank you for that. Don't go into it light-heartedly, and make sure you put in the groundwork. Like, as you can see by me compared to those girls on stage, I've been training so hard for the last, like, consistently for 3 years, but even then I was a sprinter. I was already quite muscular for a girl. I know you probably can't imagine that, see me on stage, but in real life, like obviously you stood next to very muscular girls. If I stood next to a petite girl, then you'd be able to see more. So don't kind of make a decision based on what's fashionable at the moment, is probably the best way I'd put it. And by that I just mean like do the groundwork. So if you've been inspired, that's amazing. Like I'd recommend it to anyone. But you can't then just think, right, I'm going to do a competition in 3 months and start training for it now. You can't gain muscle. It's virtually impossible, or at least very hard, to gain muscle whilst you're dieting. So you need to put in the groundwork first. Work hard. Give yourself a good year to build the base, to build the muscle, and then choose to do a show and then diet down. So don't make a flippant decision. Obviously, remember that it costs money, so it's an expensive hobby. You've got to buy your food, you've got to buy your supplements, travel, bikini, shoes, tan. Everything adds up, and coaching, if you're going to get a coach, it's not cheap. It's really not cheap. So just make sure you've done your homework and that you're not winging it, and that you're giving yourself the best chance to do your best on stage and bring the best package that you've got to the stage. But yeah, by all means, it's so rewarding. It's a really good challenge. And I wouldn't not recommend it, but just make sure that you're prepared. That's all the questions I'm going to answer today, because this video is already going to be like 20 minutes long. So I'm sorry if I didn't answer your questions. There was quite a lot on my YouTube video. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all your kind comments. I read them all. Like I promise you I read them all. I like reply in my head and forget to comment. And I will see you again next week, hopefully with a how I train back video, if I can get someone to film it for me in the gym. Let me know what videos you'd like to see. I'm going to do random vlogs. I've got something really exciting coming up that I'm not allowed to tell you. It's funny. It's ridiculous, but well, I won't even delve into it. So do stay tuned in. Obviously the big thing was the show, and that's done, but yeah, please do subscribe and let me know what videos you'd like to see. I'll see you again next week. Bye guys.